59. Yeah, I hit the milestone. Ouch. If you're a card-carrying member of Gen X, you know some birthdays just hit like a punch in the jaw. Usually, I just ignore them, but not this year. Today, we're talking about time. No corporate calendar BS, but the real currency of existence. We're breaking down how the world lost its mind, why we're the underdog and rebels who survived the 80s and 90s, and we refuse to buy the narrative, and how escaping the modern matrix means trading the digital cave for actual reality. If you're tired of the hype, the cultural fear-mongering, and the illusion of reality, you're in the right place. Let's take a ride. Time. It's the great equalizer. 24 hours, 1,440 minutes a day. I'm not crying about getting older. Well, mostly not. But I wouldn't trade this moving bike for a static life. I asked myself recently, if I knew the exact moment my life was going to end, would I want a countdown clock? Honestly, damn right I would. It forces you into the present. A countdown clock, it would give you solace during painful miles while you know that they're going to pass. But it also begs the question from me today, how am I spending that currency? How are you spending that currency? On illusions, media drama, watching other people live, watching other people interpret the narrative through a glass screen. For Gen X, time was always elastic. It wasn't a rigid Outlook calendar. It was a canvas for rebellion and imagination. We grew up romanticizing time as a portal. The movies we devoured in the 80s and 90s weren't just entertainment. They were cultural blueprints. Back to the Future wasn't just a sci-fi romp. It was a generational handshake. We had Marty McFly's skateboard and Walkman colliding with that boomer nostalgia of diners and jukeboxes and leather jackets. It was Fonzie meeting the Gen X slacker ethos, independent, ironic, and restless. We bent time with mixtapes and VHS fast forwards and late night reruns. Bill and Ted's adventure turned history into a playground. The Terminator warned us the future wasn't written, that it was fragile, shaped by the choices we make today. We weren't promised stability. We were promised possibility. We realized we could rewrite the script, remix the soundtrack, and skate into tomorrow on our own terms. At least that's what we thought. But that story, that specific narrative, it's over. Sometimes it feels like a completely different lifetime, that sitting on the sofa eating pizza and ice cream with my preteen daughters, watching those trilogies on a cold winter weekend. If I spent more than a minute visualizing those days, a flood of melancholy chokes my thinking. They're gone. Those days are gone, and the people we were are gone too. And what's in their place? A little back pain, stiff joints, a few extra pounds, less hair that is a completely different color. But worse than the physical toll is the realization that the romanticized illusion of the future has been replaced by some weird dystopian reality. And let's be honest, it doesn't have a good plot, and it sure as hell isn't entertaining. So the world lost its mind, I suppose, chasing shadows. But Tolkien wrote this. He wrote about this. He said, not all those who wander are lost. That's not just poetry. It's a spiritual truth for the expat, the nomad, the rebel. Wandering isn't aimlessness, it's openness. It's a quiet insurrection against rigid maps and inherited destinations. Yes, inherited destinations. Emerson said the self must be explored, not imposed. And Thoreau reminded us that the winding path leads to the cleanest of truths. To wander is to listen to the wind, to intuition, to our guts. The wanderer isn't lost. The wanderer is still becoming. So here I am at 59, and my wandering heart didn't take me to a midlife crisis sports car or relationship. It pulled me straight into antiquity, straight into Plato's allegory of the cave. Yeah, sounds like a really weird place to go on a birthday, right? But 59 brought for me this brutal, beautiful clarity. It's my way of stepping into the light. When you realize your currency is finite, that is, time is finite, you become fiercely protective of what is real. Plato described prisoners changed inside a cave, watching shadows cast on a wall by a fire behind them. Because it's all they've ever known, they mistake the shadows for reality. And now let's fast forward to our century. The cave is the digital feed. The shadows are the curated, filtered, algorithmically pumped posts we scroll through every single day. It's a comfortable, endlessly distracting prison, but it's ultimately hollow. In the allegory, one prisoner breaks free, and the journey up and out of the cave is brutal, the sunlight blindingly stinging his eyes, but he slowly adjusts and he beholds substance instead of spectacle. And for me, stepping outside the cave at this stage of life means intentionally questioning the feed, daring to trade the curated simplicity of a screen for this beautiful, chaotic complexity of the world, prioritizing genuine learning, deep reflection, and face-to-face connection. Yeah, okay, I know it feels uncomfortable. I can feel incredibly isolated sometimes, walking away from shadows everyone else is staring at. But standing at the shore of a new year, I see the difference between the spectacle and the substance. The most sacred landscapes aren't found on a map or a screen. They're found in the sacred landscapes we've found on ourselves standing on. They're found in the quiet places we discover when we dare to step away from that crowd. Which brings me to right now. What does time mean to you? Because let me tell you, time hits completely different in retirement or pre-retirement, and especially out here as an expat. It's a completely different frequency. What does your relationship with time look like? How has it changed since the world started spinning backwards? Let me know in the comments below. If this hit a nerve and you want to keep exploring the landscape of self-awareness, go grab my book, Mental Wealth Journey, on Amazon. If you want to support an independent creator who refuses to buy into the mainstream narrative, hit up my Substack or buy me a coffee using the links in the description. And to those of you who have already backed this channel and joined the ride, thank you. You keep the gears turning. If you're new here, don't just sit there. Smash the subscribe button and join the rebellion. Leave the cave behind. Trust the winding path your own curiosity and step boldly into your own light. All right, Gen X and expats, you heard it here first. Until next time, stay real, stay punk, lead, follow, or get out of the way.